तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। सर्वशास्त्राब्धि पीयूष सर्ववेदैक सत्फल सर्वसिद्धांत रत्नाढ्य सर्वलोकैक प्रद सर्वभागवत प्राण श्रीमद्भागवत प्रभो कलिद्वांतोदितादित्य श्रीकृष्ण परिवर्तितः। I'll just recollect briefly from the beginning of the Anuccheda to have a continuity. So, so in this Anuccheda, the Jiva Goswami explains that how the subject of the Chatushloki Bhagavatam is Bhagavan himself. Hmm. So the Supreme Lord taught about himself while expounding direct knowledge concerning him and three other topics related to him. Hmm. So there are basically seven shlokas, second canto, ninth chapter, 30th shloka to 36th shloka. These seven shlokas are covered in this Anucheda. Out of that, the first shloka, Krishna introduces four topics that he is going to speak in the Chatushloki Bhagavatam. Jnanam, Vijnanam, Rahasyam, Tadangam. Confidential knowledge about regarding me, Jnanam, which includes the realization and the Rahasya, the mystery, and its component part, Angam. So the four topics are introduced in the 30th shloka. And right in the beginning, he says that Jnanam Parama Guhyam Me. Accept this knowledge, which is the ascertainment of the factual conclusions through the words as enunciated by me, Bhagavan. As enunciated by me, he says, that itself shows that because this knowledge is supremely confidential, nobody else knows this truth apart from me. Nobody else knows this truth. That is why how confidential nature of this knowledge is also confirmed in other shlokas like Muktanam, Api Siddhanam, Vasudeva Parayana. And then the Lord says that accept this knowledge along with the realization of the knowledge. And also receive the secret meaning, Rahasya, which is embedded therein. And that Rahasya is nothing but Prema Bhakti. And not only accept the Rahasya, also accept the component part of the Anga of the Rahasya. The component part of the Rahasya. And so the knowledge alone, Jnana alone, will not quickly disclose the Vijnana and Rahasya when a person is obstructed by the offenses. So therefore, also accept the component part of that rahasya, the support for that knowledge. And that support is the anga that refers to sadhana bhakti, or the process of devotional service. And or the sa rahasya can be also taken as an adjective for anga. So these things were covered till here. And then Lord says that, and then the second shloka, that is the 31st shloka, 2.9.31, Lord is actually giving blessings to Brahma. Lord is giving blessings to Brahma. That Yavanaham yatabhavo yadrupa gunakarmakah tataiva tattva vijnanam astu me madanugrahat. May you have true realization of me in my utter completion, as I am in my existence, complete with form, attributes, and action. So, Yavanaham means in my utter completion. May you have knowledge about my essential nature, as I am in my existence. May you understand my fundamental characteristics that identify me. May you understand my form, attributes, and actions and qualities, such as my qualities such as bhakta vatsalyata towards the devotees, my actions such as the different pastimes which I perform in different avatars, and may you have true realization or the direct experience of me as I am complete, as I exist complete with all these aforementioned aspects. So, in this particular shloka itself automatically refutes any impersonal interpretation of the Chatushloki Bhagavatam. So later on, even when in the third canto, fourth chapter, when Krishna was speaking to Uddhava, there also Krishna mentioned that Krishna refers to Chatushloki Bhagavatam as the supreme knowledge that illuminates my glories. That is also a confirmation that the Chatushloki Bhagavatam speaks about the personality of God, not about the impersonal Brahman. And so the Lord's blessings for direct realizations are explicitly mentioned in the second shloka. And the blessing for Brahma to develop the rahasya, that is prema bhakti, is also present. Because when a person factually experiences these features of the Lord, his rupa, quality, and actions, then as a result, naturally a person will develop prema bhakti. This is the second shloka. And then the last class we discussed, last to last class. And then Lord begin the first Chatushloki Bhagavatam. Aham evasam evagre nanyat yat sat asata param paschadaham yadetecha yadetacha yovashishyeta sosmyaham. In the beginning, I alone certainly did exist, and nobody else, whether sat, asat, or beyond both. And afterwards, I am for both this cosmos and what remains. Afterwards, I alone exist. For both this cosmos and what remains are also I. So here, when the Lord is using the Aham Shabda, the Aham Shabda itself indicates that the speaker must have a form. Aham cannot refer to the impersonal Brahman. And uh, if the Lord were to speak in this shloka about the impersonal Brahman, or the Lord is speaking about the Tattvamasi in this shloka, that you are that, then the Lord would not have used the word Aham, he would have used the word Tvam. It would have been, he would have used the word Tvam. You alone existed before the creation. You alone exist after the annihilation. He would have used the word Tvam. And then the Lord said that, so therefore the meaning of this shloka is that I am the supremely captivating form which has appeared before you at this present moment, and I exist as such even prior to creation. That is, even during the interim period of the cosmic cataclysm. And this is also confirmed in the Shruti mantras. So Jiva Goswami quoted Shruti mantras like Maha Upanishad. And this is also confirmed in other places. Third canto, fifth chapter, Maitreya Rishi says that Bhagavan, the self of all selves, alone existed in the beginning. Bhagavan eka asedam agra atmatmana vibhuhu. So these verses are also quoted. And then when Krishna is saying that Aham includes all the Vaikuntha planets, his devotees in Vaikuntha. All these things are included. Just like when we say king is going, that means all the paraphernalia of the king are also included in that. So therefore, all these associates of the Lord, Vaikuntha planets, etc., they are also in the same category as the Bhagavan. Same category as the Bhagavan. And then two verses were quoted. Parishit Maharaj's question in the second canto, 8th chapter, and Vidura's question, 3.7.37. These verses are quoted to show that how before the creation the Lord existed, Lord exists along with his associates in Vaikuntha. Along with his associates in Vaikuntha. So therefore, even not only the Lord exists, but even his devotees, they don't get destroyed at the time of annihilation. The devotees in Vaikuntha, they continue to exist. And then Jiva Goswami says that Aham evasam evagre. Aham eva. The emphatic particle alone negates any possibility of reference to another agent or to the formless Brahman. And then Aham evasam evagre. The second eva is a denial of this being an impossibility. So therefore, I am complete with form, attributes and action. Yadrupa guna karmakaha. So these things I think we discussed last time.
Even
And
Himadri and his friend Vopasen or something, they also said something, no? Himadri and
that will come. That's coming. And then the words asam eva, aham eva asam eva agre. Asam eva taken in the sense of I simply existed. It is meant to negate the existence of other actions, such as creation, etc. Just like when we say that today the president is not working, that means he is not doing the official activity, but his actions related to his family, that will go on. So therefore, these words do not negate the pastimes that belong to his internal potency. The pastimes in the internal potency are going on eternally in the Vaikuntha. And also aham eva asam. Another possibility is to consider the verb asam as being formed from another particular root, which means to go, to shine, or to accept. So in this case, the meaning would be prior to creation, I certainly did also exist, or I certainly did also exist resplendent with the very attributes like form and so on that you are seeing now. So with this statement, the Lord specifically negates the concept that the absolute is formless and other relativistic theories. And then Jiva Goswami quoted the Muktafala commentary written by an Advaitavadi. And even in the Muktafala commentary, he defined Sri Vishnu as being both with form and without. Also says in regard to this verse that this definition is not marred by the fault of being too narrow to account for the form of the Lord, because he is never formless. He is quoting that. Muktafala commentary, it is the Advaitavada commentary on this Bhagavatam shloka, also accepts the Lord with form. It negates the aspect of formlessness. It accounts for the form of the Supreme Lord. And then he quoted Aitreya Shruti, and then further he said that the knowledge being spoken of specifically concerns Bhagavan because of his superiority even to the cosmic Purusha. Since he existed even before the Purusha glanced over the material nature. So the knowledge, the Chatushloki Bhagavatam, somebody may say that this is spoken about the Virata Purusha. Now Jiva Goswami is clarifying that the knowledge spoken in this Chatushloki Bhagavatam is not about the Virata Purusha, it is about the Bhagavan. So then somebody may say that, somebody may quote certain objection. In some scriptural references, it is stated that in the beginning only the Brahman existed without attributes. So in response, Jiva Goswami says that Nanyat yat sat asat param. Sat asat param. That means no other, whether sat, asat, or beyond both. So sat means effect, asat means cause. Brahman is that which is beyond the cause and effect. So which is beyond these two. Is not anything other than me. In other words, sometimes there is an incapacity to ascertain the unique attributes inherent in my essential nature, either on the part of the aspirant whose eligibility is for Brahman realization, or on the part of the scripture which discloses the absolute as without having attributes. In either of these cases, the pre-existing truth, which verily I am, appears to have no attributes. So sometimes the person, the candidate, is eligible only to understand the Brahman features of the absolute truth. And sometimes a particular scripture, a particular Upanishad, may mainly focus on describing the Brahman feature of the absolute truth. So because of that, when a person reads those scriptures, one may think that absolute truth has no attributes. And because such a candidate is given instruction, because his eligibility is only for that, therefore one may think that the absolute truth is without attributes. Alternatively, scriptures offer two different descriptions. One is of the absolute as undifferentiated consciousness without manifest qualities, because at the time of cosmic annihilation, there is a complete absence of phenomena. And the other description is of Bhagavan, complete with inherent potency and characteristics, and existing in the transcendental abode of Vaikuntha. So therefore, scriptures offer both these two different descriptions. Scriptures describe about the formless aspect of the absolute truth, and scriptures also offer about the Bhagavan, complete with potency and characteristics. So from the above, it is concluded that the knowledge spoken of in the verse under discussion specifically relates to the complete absolute Bhagavan. Brahmanohi Pratishtakam. This is also confirmed in the Gita. I am the basis of Brahman. So it is for this reason Thus, this knowledge was displayed to be the most confidential. Then somebody can raise an objection that, but surely you are not perceived after the creation is terminated. So in response, the Lord is saying that Paschat aham yadetacha yovashishyeta sosmyaham. Even after the creation cycle, I alone am, which is to say that I certainly do exist at that time, both in my form as Bhagavan, present in Vaikuntha planets, and as the super soul, indwelling soul, immanent within the phenomenal existence. So, therefore, it is evident that the knowledge that has been instructed is specifically about Bhagavan, such as that described in verses such as 11.3.35. The Lord, the source of the creation, maintenance, and resolution of the cosmos, but he himself is without a cause. And then further doubt is raised. Further doubt is that surely all the forms that one sees all around, like those made of clay, cloth, etc., they are not the forms of Bhagavan. So therefore, one may say that you are there, you are therefore incomplete, because the forms which we see during the manifest creation, all the forms which we see, they are not Bhagavan. So in response, anticipating such a doubt, Lord says that this universe is also me. That is why he says that Paschat yad etacha yova shishyeta sosmyaham. I am also this cosmos. I am also this cosmos. And this meaning, this cosmos is also Bhagavan. That means this cosmos is also Bhagavan's energy. This is also confirmed in by another shloka in the Bhagavatam 2.7.50. Soyam te bihitastat Bhagavan Vishwabhavanah Samasena Harernanyat Anyasmat Sad Asachayat. Whatever exists as the cause or effect is not different from Sri Hari, though he exists independent of everything. So, from the previous statement also, it is understood that the knowledge spoken of is specifically about Bhagavan, and after dissolution, what remains is also Bhagavan. And this is reiterated in the following statement 3.5.23. Bhagavan eka asedam agra atmatmanam vibhuhu atmechanu gatavaatma nanamat upalakshanah. And then Jiva Goswami says that so in verses such as the previous one, it is knowledge of Bhagavan that is expounded. So therefore, by showing that he is ever fragmented, he is ever unfragmented by time or space, the Lord has instructed Sri Brahma about himself to the fullest extent. Yavanaham yadetacha. Yavanaham yadetacha. Just as he earlier promised that he would, out of his own mercy, in the same way, by the words and no other, whether Sat, Asat, or beyond both, he instructed Brahma that he is the ultimate truth, exactly as he is in his own existence, Yatha Bhava. A fact indicated by the statement, I am the support of Brahman. So therefore, the Lord told Brahma in the 31st shloka, Yavanaham. That means I will teach you about the knowledge about me to the fullest extent. So that is confirmed here in the first Chaturshloki Bhagavatam, because the Lord is saying that I alone existed before the creation, I alone exist after the creation cycle, and during the manifest cosmos, what the cosmos which exists, that is also me only. So by that it is confirmed that the Lord has instructed Brahma to the fullest extent. And by giving Brahma knowledge of the fact that he is the inclusive of unlimited unique forms, he instructed Brahma that he in his own existence is complete with form. So when the Lord is saying, so therefore the yadrupa gunakarmakah, that is confirmed. Whatever the Lord told in the 31st shloka, yadrupa, that I will explain to you about all my forms. So by giving knowledge of the fact that he is inclusive of unlimited unique forms, he instructed Brahma in his own existence is complete with form, yadrupa. And and then by indicating that his form as Bhagavan is the whole that contains all other forms. This he did that. So by giving Brahma knowledge of the fact that he encompasses unlimited unique attributes, he instructed him that he in his own existence is complete with attributes, yad guna. He did this by indicating that his form as Bhagavan, the support for everything. When he is saying that my form as Bhagavan, the support for everything, that by that it is implied that how the Bhagavan's form is complete with all attributes and it contains all other forms and it is the shelter of innumerable actions. Yadrupa gunakarmakaha. All these things are confirmed. And then the second Chatushloki Bhagavatam also we discussed. ऋतेर्तं यत्प्रतीयेत न प्रतीयेत चात्मनि तद्विद्याद आत्मनो मायाम यथाभासो यथातमः. So having instructed Brahma in the knowledge of himself as he is in his own existence, then Krishna is defining Maya in the second Chatushloki Bhagavatam. What is the purpose of defining Maya? In order to further specify himself in terms of what he is not. That is, the purpose of describing Maya is to further clearly describe about himself by describing what he is not. Through Vyatireka he is describing. So he did this in order to induce in Brahma realized knowledge. So that Brahma can get a realized knowledge, Lord is instructing about the Maya. So Riteirtam yat pratiyat, that which is perceived only when the underlying essential reality is not perceived. And that which is never perceived in the self, you should know to be my Maya, manifesting both as a reflection and as a darkness. Yatha baso yatha tamaha. So this verse was also discussed previously in the Anuccheda 18. You may once more go through that. But the concise meaning of this is that Artha means the underlying essential reality. So it refers to the Supreme Lord, Bhagavan, which is described in the previous shloka. So when the Bhagavan is perceived, one cannot perceive Maya. When the Bhagavan is not perceived, then a person perceives Maya. So the ultimate of all that is attainable with conscious beings, that is Bhagavan, Purushartha. So whatever is perceived in exclusion of me, that means in the absence of the perception of me, and whatever is not perceived within the self, that does not manifest of its own without me, one should know to be my supreme controller's Maya. So the examples given for this Maya are two things, Abhasa and Tama. Abhasa means reflected light and the Tama is a darkness. So darkness is not perceived when there is light. And when the light is perceived, you cannot perceive the darkness. And so similarly, reflection is not perceived when there is light. And when the light is perceived, you cannot perceive the reflection. So darkness is also experienced outside the perception of light. Reflected light is also perceived outside the light. So, yet at the same time, darkness cannot be perceived without the eye, which is an embodiment of light. So when Krishna is saying that tam vidyad atmano maya, vidyat, one should know. So Lord is telling vidya, using the vidyat verb in the pratama purusha. That means in the third person. That means the teaching is meant for others, because Brahma is already experiencing it directly through the power granted by Krishna. Brahma is already experiencing. So, tam vidyat, although Lord is speaking to Brahma, but he is using the in the third person, tam vidyat. That means the teaching is meant for others, because Brahma is already experiencing it. In this way, only by transcending the Mayika perception, one can realize Krishna, who is complete with qualities such as form. So the purpose of apprehending the truth about Bhagavan through Vyatireka, through the Vyatireka means is as follows. Because even after ascertaining my essential nature and so on, through the medium of revealed sound, one cannot realize them directly as long as a person is identifying with the effects of Maya. So therefore, in order to awaken such a vision, one must purposefully let go of Maya. So from this it can be understood that the Lord also induced Brahma to experience love for him, because it is inherent in his nature. Because the absence of prema is completely absent in him. So as long as a person is identifying with the effects of Maya, although a person has a theoretical knowledge, but one will not have realization of the Supreme Lord. So in order to let go of the effects of Maya, in order to let go of Maya, the Lord is speaking about Maya. What that means, the Lord is speaking about what he is not. Maya is perceived when the Lord is not perceived. That is the purpose of adopting the method of Yatireka. So this is, till now we had discussed last time. Now we'll continue. Anybody has any questions?
No, Prabhuji, thank you.
So we will continue from here. So the third shloka of the Chatushloki Bhagavata. Ata tasyaiva premno rahasyatvam bodhayati. So now thereafter the Lord explains the confidential nature of such prema for him alone. So the prema bhakti is described in the third verse of the Chatushloki Bhagavata. So you can repeat after me. Yatha mahanti bhutani
यथा महान्ति भूतानि
bhuteshu chavasheshvanu
भूतेषु चावचेष्वनु
pravishtanya
प्रविष्ठान्यप्रविष्ठानि
तथा तेषु न तेष्वहम्.
तथा तेषु न तेष्वहम्.
So, yata mahanti bhutani, just as the great elements pervade the physical bodies of all living beings, higher and lower, bhuteshu ucha avacheshu anu. Just as the great elements pervade the physical bodies of all living beings, higher and lower, and yet subsist outside of them as well in a non-pervasive state. Similarly, I pervade all living beings and yet remain apart from them. Pravishtani apravishtani tata teshuna teshvaham. Similarly, I pervade all living beings, at the same time remain apart from the living beings. Pravishtani apravishtani tata teshuna teshvaham. So, explanation of the shloka. Yata mahabhutani bhuteshu apravishtani. Apravishtani means bahisthitanyapi anupravishtan antahastitani banti tata लोकातीत वैकुंठ स्थितत्वेन अप्रविष्टो अप्यहम तेषु तत्तद् गुणविख्यातेषु नतेषु प्रणतजनेषु प्रविष्टो हृदि स्थितोहम भामि. Just as the great elements, although existing in a non-pervasive state, Bahisthitan, meaning that they subsist outside the physical bodies of living beings. Great elements means Pancha Mahabhuta. They exist outside the physical bodies of living beings. At the same time, they nonetheless enter within them. At the same time, everyone's body is composed of the Pancha Mahabhuta, meaning that they appear to be situated within them. Similarly, Tata, although I have not entered into the living beings, because of being situated in Vaikunta, Lokatita Vaikunta Sthitattvena, Apravishto Apyaham. And the Vaikunta is beyond the material world. I nonetheless appear within the heart of the surrendered souls. Tattat Gunavikyateshu Nateshu. Nateshu means Pranata Janeshu. I nonetheless appear within the heart of the surrendered souls who are well known for their virtuous qualities. Nateshu pranata janeshu pravishto hridistitoham. So guna vikyateshu means who are well known for their virtuous qualities. I nonetheless appear within the heart of the surrendered souls who are well known for their virtuous qualities. And then further he says, Atra mahabhutanam amshabedena प्रवेश अप्रवेशौ तस्य तु प्रकाश भेदेन इति भेदेपि प्रवेश अप्रवेश मात्र साम्येन दृष्टान्तः. So the cosmic elements, earth, water, fire, the Pancha Mahabhuta, both enter and do not enter all objects. Yet when they enter all the objects, they do so by fragmentation. Whereas the Lord's pervasion or non-pervasion is accomplished through his different direct expansions. So when the Pancha Mahabhuta enter within the bodies of the living entities, enter within objects, they enter by fragmentation. Amsha Bedena Pravesha. But in the case of the Supreme Lord, Lord's pervasion or non-pervasion is accomplished through his different direct expansions. Thus, although there is a difference between the two, the comparison is still valid on the basis of the similarity of entry and non-entry. So what is clarified by Jiva Goswami is that, so the comparison is given in the shloka, but the comparison also has a certain difference. Because in the case of the Pancha Mahabhuta, when they enter the bodies of the living entities, the Pancha Mahabhutas, they enter by fragmentation. Mahabhutanam amshabedena pravesha. Apraveshav. But on the other hand, in the case of the Supreme Lord, he does not enter the living entities by fragmentation. Rather, the Lord's pervasion or non-pervasion is accomplished through his different direct expansions. Through his different direct expansions. So pravesha, apravesha, matra, samya. So therefore, there is a difference in the comparison also. At the same time, the comparison is still valid because there is a common quality of entry and non-entry. That is the common quality. Uh, The Pancha Mahabhutas enter the bodies, at the same time they are situated outside the bodies. Similarly, the Lord is situated outside everyone in Vaikuntha. At the same time, the Lord is also enters the hearts of the surrendered souls. But in the case of the Lord is there as a Paramatma in everyone's heart. But in the case of the surrendered soul, that Paramatma is not different from Bhagavan. He is Ishtadeva. So then further he says, Tadeva Tesham Tesham Tadrig Tadrigatma Tadrigat Tadrigatma Vashakarini Prema Bhaktir Nama Rahasyamiti Suchitam Tatacha Brahma Samitayam. So this verse thus indicate the Rahasya or the mystery, which is another name for the Prema Bhakti. So Prema Bhakti is indicated in the shloka. In when we read the literal meaning of the shloka, one may wonder where is the Prema Bhakti mentioned in the shloka? Yata Mahanti Bhutani Bhuteshu Cha Vacheshvanu Pravishtani Apavristani Tata Teshuna Teshvagam. That just as the great elements pervade the physical bodies of all living beings and yet subsist outside of them, similarly, I pervade all living beings and yet remain apart from them. So this verse describes about the Prema Bhakti, but where is the Prema Bhakti here? So that is what is explaining. Prema Bhakti is explained in a confidential manner. This verse indicates the Rahasya, which is another name for the devotee's Prema Bhakti. So it is mysterious because why it is mysterious? Tadrig Atma Vashakarini. Tesham Tadrig Atma Vashakarini. Prema Bhakti is mysterious because it has the power to control even the Lord. Atma Vashakarini. It has the power to control even the Lord, the indwelling self of all living beings. Therefore, it is a rahasya. And then he quotes the Brahma Samhita prayer. You can repeat after me. Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavitabhis. But you can repeat the shloka. Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavitabhis.
Please repeating it. आनंद चिन्मय सप्रतिभावि ताभिस्
ताभिर् ययेव निजरूपतया कलाभिः
okay ताभिस्तर्भिर्य एव निजरूपतया कलाभिः
गोलोक एव निवसत्यखिलात्मभूतो
गोलोक एव निवसत्यखिलात्मभूतो
गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
प्रेमाञ्जनच्छुरितभक्तिविलोचनेन
प्रेमाञ्जनच्छुरितभक्तिविलोचनेन
सन्तः सदैव हृदयेषु विलोकयन्ति
सन्तः सदैव हृदये अपि विलोकयन्ति
यं श्यामसुन्दरमचिन्त्य गुणस्वरूपम्
यं श्यामसुन्दरमचिन्त्य गुणस्वरूपम्
गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
You can read the translation.
Okay.
I worship Govinda.
I worship Govinda, the original supreme person, who, though present in the self of every living being, ever resides in Goloka in his own form, accompanied by his own expansions, the gopis, who are completely permeated by the conscious and blissful rasa of love. I worship Govinda, the original supreme person, whose essential being of inconceivable attributes is a beautiful blackish form that the sages, their eyes clarified by the salve of love, see constantly in their hearts also. Brahma Samhita 5.37238.
So two
The
verses are
okay.
so two verses are quoted from Brahma Samhita. How the Lord is situated, because Ananda Goloka eva nivasati. The Lord ever resides in Goloka. At the same time, Akhilatma Bhuto. He is also present in every living being. He is situated in every living being, inside every living being as a Paramatma. At the same time, resides in Goloka, accompanied by his own expansions. Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavitavis Tabi Eva Nijarupa Tayakala were completely permeated by the conscious and blissful rasa. The second shloka, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena. So, I worship Govinda, whose essential beings of inconceivable attributes is a beautiful blackish form. Shyama Sundaram Achintya Gunaswarupam, which the devotees whose eyes are anointed with the devotion, prema, they actually constantly see in their hearts also. That means the devotees who are anointed with prema bhakti, they see Krishna in their hearts. At the same time, that means the Krishna is there within the hearts of the pure devotees, because the pure devotees are seeing Krishna in their hearts. At the same time, the Lord is situated outside in the Goloka. Goloka eva nivasati. So now the explanation of the shlokas are Achintya Gunaswarupam api Premakyam Yad Anjanam Tena Churitavat Tuchaihi Prakashamanam Bhakti Rupam Vilochanam Tena Ityartaha Ye Bhajanti Tumam Bhaktya Mayute Teshu Chapyaham. Gita 9.29 with the Gitopanishadascha. So the meaning here is that even though the Lord's form contains inconceivable attributes, Achintya Gunaswarupam, but the devotees are able to see that form, are able to see that inconceivable form. Premakyam yadanjanam, with the eye of devotion, which has been anointed or made clear with the salve known as love. When they are anointed with the devotion, they are able to see that form which is inconceivable. That is why Krishna says that Ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya, those who worship me through devotion are situated in me, and I too am established in them. Further he says, Yadva, that means another meaning. Yadva teshu yata tani bahistitani chantastitani cha bhanti tadvat bhakteshu aham भक्तेष्वहम अंतर मनोवृत्तिषु बहिर्इंद्रिय वृत्तिषु च Vispurami iti cha. Alternatively, an implied meaning in the verse of Chatushloki is that just as the cosmic elements appear outside the living beings as well as inside the living beings, I similarly appear both within the minds as well as in the external senses of my devotees. This is an alternative meaning. I appear both within the mind of my devotees and as well as in the external senses of my devotees. Bahirindriya vrittishu cha vispurami iti cha. Bhakteshu sarvata अनन्यवृत्तिता हेतुर्नाम किमपि स्वप्रकाशम प्रेमाख्यम प्रेमाख्यम आनंदात्मकम वस्तु मम रहस्यमिति व्यंजितम. In other words, the cause behind the devotees. In other words, the cause behind the devotees having no object other than me. The cause behind the devotees having no object other than me in their thoughts or actions in a self-luminous substance, blissful in nature called prema. In other words, the cause behind the devotees having no object other than me in their thoughts or actions is a self-luminous, blissful, self-luminous substance, blissful in nature called prema. So, what is the cause that the devotees are constantly absorbed in Krishna, both in their thoughts and actions? What is the cause of that? The cause of that is that the prema bhakti. When a devotee is in prema bhakti, the devotee is completely absorbed in Krishna internally in his thoughts, and externally also in his actions he is only absorbed in Krishna's service. That is the cause of the devotee being absorbed both internally and externally in Krishna, is that the cause is prema bhakti. And that prema bhakti is mama rahasyamiti venjitam. That substance is my rahasya. It is the secret. It is a secret. So, tataiva Shri Brahmanoktam. That is only the same prema bhakti is also spoken by Brahma himself. Now he is quoting a shloka from 2.6.33. You can repeat after me. न भारती मेंग मृषोपलक्ष्यते
भारती मेऽङ्गमृषोपलक्ष्यते
न वै क्वचिन्मे मनसा मृषो गतिः
न वै क्वचिन्मे मनसा मृषो गति
न मे ऋषिकाणि पतन्त्यसत्पते
न मे ऋषिकाणि पतन्त्यसत्पते
यन्मे हृदौत्कण्ठ्यवथा धृतो हरिः.
यन्मे हृदयोत्कण्ठ्यवता युतो हरिः.
So Brahma is saying, very important shloka, never can my speech be said to be deceitful, nor the movements of my mind to be invalid, nor do my senses ever fall on the path of impermanence. For, my dear son, I hold Sri Hari within my heart with a great yearning. You can also read Prabhupada's translation, the beautiful, very beautiful purport, shloka. Can read this translation.
O Narada, because I have caught hold of the lotus feet of Supreme Personality of Godhead with great zeal, whatever I say has never proved to have been false, nor is the progress of my mind ever deterred. It's not somewhat shrinking.
Nor are my
going out.
senses ever
Nor
degraded
are my senses ever degraded by temporary attachment to
to
matter.
matter. So, is explaining the shloka. Yadyapi व्याख्यांतराणु सारेण अयमर्थो अपलपनीयः स्यात् अयमर्थो अपलपनीयः स्यात् तथाप्यस्मिन्नेवार्थे तात्पर्यं प्रतिज्ञा चतुष्टय साधनायोपक्रान्तत्वात् तदनुक्रम गतत्वाच्च. Although the aforementioned interpretation of this verse can be contradicted by supplying another, so this interpretation of the shloka is a confidential. How this third shloka indicates prema bhakti is a confidential explanation. So this explanation can be contradicted by giving another explanation. But this is the true import, because it comes in the context of the Lord's intent of fulfilling 4 propositions. And because it appears at the appropriate point in the sequence. यद्यपि व्याख्यांतरानुसारेण अयम अर्थो अपलपनीयः स्यात्, this can be contradicted by another explanation, तथापि अस्मिन् एव अर्थे तात्पर्यम्. Still we have to take this shloka as explaining the prema bhakti only, because pratigya chatushtaya sadhanayopakrantatvad tad anukrama gatatvacha, because it appears at the appropriate point in the sequence. Moreover, taking the word nateshu, further he says, kimcha tasmin arte न तेषु, तस्मिन् अर्थे न तेषु इति छिन्न पदमपि व्यर्थं स्यात्. दृष्टान्तस्यैव क्रियाभ्याम् अन्वयोपपत्तेः. So you see in the shloka, yata mahanti bhutani bhuteshu uccha vacheshvanu प्रविष्टानि अप्रविष्टानि तथा तेषु न तेष्वहम्, तथा तेषु न तेष्वहम्, तेषु न तेष्वहम्, न तेषु. So moreover, taking the word na teshu as 2 separate words, that is na instead of na teshu, not in them, as other commentators do, serves no purpose, since the example must be appropriately associated with the 2 verbs, entering and not entering. So entering and not entering. So we'll discuss further. Apicha rahasyam nama hetadeva yat paramadurlabam vastu दृष्टो दासीन जन दृष्टि निवारणार्थम साधारण वस्वंतरेणा छाद्यते यथा चिंतामणि संपुटादीना. So furthermore, the concept of confidentiality is truly fulfilled here, because for that indeed is called rahasya, which is most rare and is hidden away from miscreants and indifferent people by covering it with another ordinary object, just as a precious jewel is kept hidden in a box. For as the Lord says, Atayeva parokshvada rishayah paroksham cha mama priyam iti Sri Bhagavat Vakyam cha. The Vedic seers keep their meaning out of sight, parokshavada, and I am pleased by such hidden explanations. paroksham cha mama priyam. So essentially, Jiva Goswami is saying that he is giving reasoning how this third Chatushloki Bhagavata talks about the Prema Bhakti, which is the Rahasya. So this interpretation is not explicitly clear in the shloka, but how it refers to Prema Bhakti, he is giving justification for that. Because the Lord told that I will describe 4 topics: Jnanam, Vijnanam, Rahasyam, Tadangam. So he has told that he has described the Jnana and Vijnana in the first and second Chatushloki Bhagavatam. Now he will describe the Rahasyam, that is the third shloka. Rahasya, it will be truly a Rahasya only when the meaning is confidential. It is indeed called as Rahasya, which is most rare and is hidden away from miscreants and indifferent people by covering it with another ordinary object, such as the precious jewels kept hidden in a box. So, tadeva cha paroksham kriyate. Tadeva cha paroksham kriyate yada deyam virala pracharam mahadvastu bhavati. Tadeva cha paroksham kriyate yada deyam virala pracharam mahadvastu bhavati. Only something that is not to be given away. Yad adeyam. Adeyam means not to be given away. That is scarcely known. Virala pracharatva. So only that is something which is not to be given away. Adeyatva. That is very scarcely known. Virala pracharatva. And that is of the utmost importance. Mahadvastu bhavati. And it is kept hidden from the view. Paroksha. Tadeva cha paroksham kriyate yad adeyam virala pracharam mahadvastu bhavati. And then further he is giving a quotation. Asya eva adeyatvam virala pracharatvam mahatvam cha. It is confirmed in another shloka, 5.3.18. Muktim dadati karhichit smana bhakti yogam ityadishu bahutra vyaktam. So these three qualities of prema are mentioned. Adeyatvam, that means it's not easily given away. It's not easily given to others. That is why Sudurlabha we say, bhakti, one of the characteristics of bhakti is Sudurlabha. Second characteristic of prema bhakti is that it is scarcely known, virala pracharatva. And third, mahadvastu, it is the utmost importance. So these three vastu having these three characteristics: adeyatvam, mahadvastu, and virala pracharatvam. Such a vastu is kept hidden way. Such a virtue is kept in a paroksha, is kept hidden from the common people's view. And these three qualities are the qualities of the prema. This is also confirmed in the another shloka from the Bhagavatam. Muktim dadati karihichit smana bhakti yogam. The Lord sometimes awards liberation, but never bhakti yoga. Sometimes he awards liberation, which is also something very highly valuable, but he never offers bhakti yoga. That means prema bhakti. So ityadishu bahutra vyaktam. Swayam chaitadeva Shri Bhagavata Parama Bhaktabhyam Arjuna Uddhavabhyam Kantoktayaiva Katitam. Krishna himself has confirmed how the prema bhakti is very rare, both to Arjuna and to Uddhava. Krishna himself also has stated this directly to his great devotees, Krishna, Uddhava and Arjuna, in verses like the following. Now he is quoting from one verse from the Bhagavad Gita and then from Uddhava Gita. Sarva guhyatamam bhuya shrunu me paramam vachaha. 18.64. And then Uddhava Gita. Uddhava Gita. Idam bhagavatam nama yanme bhagavatoditam. Sorry. Sugopyam api vakshyami. 11.11.48. Sugopyam api vakshyami. Although it is to be kept most hidden, I shall speak it to you. Idameva rahasyam Shri Naradaya Swayam Shri Brahmanaiva Prakatikritam. This same rahasya, that is Prema Bhakti, is spoken by Brahma to Narada. You can repeat after me. Idam Bhagavatam Nama
इदं भागवतं नाम
Yanme Bhagavatoditam
यन्मे भगवतोदितं
Sangrahoyam Vibhutinam
संग्रहोऽयं विभूतीनां
Tvametat Vipuli-kuru.
त्वमेतद्विपुलीकुरु
Yatha harau Bhagavati
यथा हरौ भगवती
Nrinam Bhaktir Bhavishyati
नृणां भक्तिर्भविष्यति
Sarvatman-yakhiladhare
सर्वात्मन्नखिल्याधारे
Iti Sankalpya Varnaya.
इति सङ्कल्पवर्णय
O Narada, this text named Srimad Bhagavatam, which was spoken to me by Bhagavan, describes in brief the glories of the Lord. Now you please elaborate these glories, Vipuli Kuru, and describe it with the intention that people may develop devotion to Sri Hari, the immanent self of all beings, and the support of all. Yata harau bhagavati nrinam bhaktir bhavishyati. Sarvatman akhiladare iti sankalpya varnaya. Describe you whatever I have spoken. You elaborate these teachings and you elaborate in such a way that people will develop bhakti to Bhagavan. So tasmat sadhu vyakyatam swam achiri swami charanairapi rahasyam bhaktihi iti. Therefore, Sridhar Swami has also correctly explained in the Bhavartha Deepika that rahasya means devotional service. Devotional service. So I'll go through the commentary. So the third Chatushloki Bhagavatam describes the Prema Bhakti. Prema Bhakti, it doesn't seem to be explicitly mentioned in the shloka. But one may say, how can you give such an interpretation? This verse talks about the Prema Bhakti. That's why Jiva Goswami says that this third Chatushloki Bhagavatam is talking about the Rahasya, the confidential topic. When a devotee is having prema, his internal thoughts are permeated with Krishna and his external activities are permeated with prema. External activities are permeated with Krishna, service to Krishna. That is the nature of prema. Just like the Pancha Mahabhutas enter within all living entities and they also exist outside of them. Similarly, Bhagavan is within the all living entities as a Paramatma, or the devotees see Bhagavan as the within their heart. At the same time, the Lord is situated outside in the Vaikuntha. So let us read the commentary, it will become more clear. So this verse of Chatushloki explains the Rahasya, which is the topmost secret and can therefore only be explained indirectly. Although the Lord is situated in his own abode, he expands to sit in the heart of his loving devotees. He explained this to Durvasa Muni. Sadavo hridayam mayyam sadhunam hridayam tvaham Madanyat tena jananti naham tebhyo managapi. That the devotees are my heart, and I too am the heart of true devotees. They do not know anything other than me, and I know nothing at all other than them. The material elements exist outside of material objects as well as within them. It is not that the totality of material elements is used up in the making of material objects. Everyone's body is made of the Pancha Mahabhuta. At the same time, Pancha Mahabhuta is also existing outside the bodies. Similarly, Bhagavan exists in his own abode as well as within his devotees. Bhagavan, however, has the ability to expand himself into plenary portions. This is the difference between the material elements and Bhagavan. In the case of the material elements, through their fragments, they are situated within the bodies of the living entities. But in the case of the Bhagavan, it's not that a fragmental portion of Bhagavan is situated within the heart of the devotees. No, Bhagavan has the ability to expand himself into plenary portions. So another meaning to be understood from this verse is that Bhagavan exists both within and outside his devotees because of his love for them. Because of his love for them, Bhagavan exists within and outside his devotees. The yogis, on the other hand, see only the Lord's expansion as Paramatma within, because they have awareness of the Lord only, devoid of specific feelings of love. Any other interpretation of this verse would not be in accord with the Lord's propositions, as given in the first verse quoted in this section. The mystery is prema, not Brahman. The rahasyam is prema bhakti, not the Brahman. It is the prema that is especially rare and which the Lord does not easily bestow. Muktim dadati karhichit smana bhakti yogam. He awards Brahman realization even to the enemies whom he kills. Therefore, Brahman cannot be considered the rahasya referred to in this first verse. The Sridhar Swami has rightly translated rahasya as bhakti, not as Brahman. Krishna told Uddhava that bhakti is the most confidential secret. Krishna told Uddhava that Ataitat paramam guhyam shrinvato yadunandana sugopyam apivakshyami tvamme britya suhrutsaka. O beloved of the Yadu dynasty, listen now to the supreme mystery. Although it is to be kept carefully hidden, I shall speak it to you because you are my servant, well-wisher and friend. The word yetat in this verse refers to Bhakti Yoga, which was mentioned in the preceding verse. Bhakti or prema is said to be highly confidential because most people are ineligible to receive it. Because people in general are powerfully identified with the external potency in the form of the body-mind complex and the world. As long as such identification remains prominent, the consciousness is unable to perceive, receive, or enter into the internal potency in the form of unalloyed devotion. The Lord does not award bhakti to those thus identified, lest they misuse it. He therefore speaks with indirect words, so that only those who are qualified will recognize the concealed truth. That's why the Prema Bhakti is indirectly mentioned in the shloka. Because Prema Bhakti is extremely rare and most people are identifying themselves with the body and mind. As long as such identification is prominent, one's consciousness cannot enter into the internal potency in the form of devotion to Bhagavan. If we award that most confidential knowledge of prema to such people, they will misuse it. Therefore, Lord is speaking with an indirect manner. So Brahma ordered Narada Muni to narrate the 4 verses Srimad, to narrate the Chatushloki Bhagavatam in such a way that those who heard it would attain devotion to Krishna. Vyasadeva had the same experience after Narada Muni instructed him in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So Vyasadeva's experience is that Yasyam vai shruyamanayam Krishne paramapurushe bhaktirutpadyate pumsa shoka moha bayapaha. If one hears the Srimad Bhagavatam, one who hears the Srimad Bhagavatam arises devotion to Krishna, the Supreme Person, putting an end to all of one's mourning, bewilderment, and fear. Therefore, according to Brahma, Narada, and Vyasa, and from the personal experience of Shukadeva Goswami, it is clear that the central theme of Srimad Bhagavatam is pure devotion to Bhagavan. As such, this verse cannot apply to the unqualified Brahman as some would have it. Because some people give interpret the shloka as if this verse is describing about the impersonal Brahman. So Jiva Goswami raises 2 objections to any such interpretation. It is not in keeping with the propositions of the Lord found in 2.9.30. If somebody is explaining this shloka as if it is explaining as if it is referring to the impersonal Brahman, it does not agree with the 2.9.30. It is not in keeping with the propositions of the Lord found in 2.9.30. Nor can it be reconciled with his blessings in 2.9.31. Therefore, such an interpretation as interpreting the shloka as referring to the impersonal Brahman would contradict these previous 2 shlokas, 30 and 31. Because normally the impersonal interpretation of the verse is based on the reading of the word nateshu as 2 different words. You see, the impersonal interpretation of the shloka, yata mahanti bhutani bhutesh ucchavacheshvaham pravishtanyapavrishtani tata teshu na teshvaham. In the impersonal interpretation, na teshu, they take it as 2 separate words. Na teshu, they take it as 2 separate words. But Jiva Goswami is saying that this verse describes the confidential meaning. You have to take these words as together. Nateshu. Nateshu refers to the pure devotees. If we take it together. If we take it separately, na is a separate word, teshu is another word. So normally, the impersonal interpretation of the verse is based on the reading of the word nateshu. Nateshu, if we take it together, that means in the surrendered people. But if we take it as separately, not in them. The understanding is that just as the material elements are both outside as well as inside phenomenal objects, Brahman is similarly both inside and outside the living being. This meaning is derived simply from the words tata teshu in connection with the verbs pravishtani and apravishtani. Enter and do not enter. So by this reading, the rest of the line is made completely redundant. So yata mahanti bhutani bhutesh ucchavacheshvanu pravishtani apravishtani tata teshu na teshvaham. Tata teshu na teshvaham. If you take the word nateshu as separate 2 different words, na and teshu, that is the impersonal interpretation. So then it means that just as the material elements are both outside and inside phenomenal objects, Brahman, they say that Brahman is similarly inside and outside the living being. Pravishtani apravishtani tata teshu na teshvaham. Inside and outside living beings. So then in this case, pravishtani and in connection with the verbs pravishtani and apravishtani. By this reading, the rest of the line, na teshu, is made completely redundant. Na teshu is made completely redundant. So Jiva Goswami avoids this problem by saying that it is but one word, nateshu. You have to take it as one word, referring to the devotees. Nata means bowed down. Those people who are bowing down to the Lord. Nateshu means the surrendered devotees, in the surrendered devotees. So because devotees are full of love for the Lord, they see him both within the heart and externally, with the senses transmuted through pervasion of the internal potency. And this is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita. Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavitabis Tabir Yeva Nijarupa Taya Kalabihi Goloka Eva Nivasat Yakilatma Bhuto Govinda Madipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti. Hridaye Api Vilokayanti. They see within the heart also. So the word Api also indicates that they perceive him not only within the heart, but outside as well with their external senses. So this state of being, or this state of awareness, in which a person directly perceives the Lord in everything externally and internally, that is the mystery referred to as prema. And the Shrutis hinted at by Srila Jiva Goswami are ones such as the following. The Shrutis hinted at what the Shruti? Gopala Tapani Upanishad. Yo Brahmanam Vidadati Purvam Yo Vidyas Tasmai Gapayati Sma Krishna Tam Ha Devam Atma Buddhi Prakasham Mumukshurvai Sharanam Amum Vrajet. A person desiring liberation must take shelter of Sri Krishna, the Lord who illuminates everyone's mind and intelligence. He created Brahma at the dawn of creation, instructed him in the knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam, and made him sing it. So this Shruti Vakya, Gopal Tapani Upanishad, also indirectly hints at prema. So this is a little technical. You can go through again, but the essential point is that this third shloka describes prema bhakti, which is the third topic, that is rahasyam. So if you take the meaning, so the meaning is that just like the Pancha Mahabhuta enter within the bodies of the living entities, at the same time they are situated outside. This is the analogy. Similarly, if we take the common external meaning given by the impersonalists, similarly, Brahman is within everything and outside everything. So Brahman is all pervading. Therefore, this verse describes about the Brahman, like that they say. But if we take this meaning like this, then the word na teshu will become redundant only. The last part of the shloka, last pada of the shloka will become redundant, because based on the first three padas itself, this meaning will come. Yata mahanti bhutani bhutesh uchavacheshvanu pravishtani apravishtani tata. Tata teshu. Like that itself is sufficient. The last part of the shloka will become redundant. So Jiva Goswami, instead of taking the words na teshu as two different words, he is taking the word together. Nateshu. Nateshu refers to means in the devotees. Just like the the five great elements are within the bodies of all living entities. At the same time, they are existing outside. Similarly, Bhagavan is within the heart of the pure devotees. At the same time, he is outside in the Vaikuntha. He is situated outside in the Vaikuntha. He is situated outside and also is inside. That means the pure devotees constantly see Krishna within their heart, and the pure devotees, they also see Krishna outside their heart. And that is what is the cause of that? Because their heart is permeated with prema. When the devotees, pure devotees, their heart is permeated with prema, they see Krishna internally and externally. So that prema is actually indirectly indicated in the shloka. And this interpretation has to be taken because this verse talks about the rahasyam. And because it is rahasyam, that this prema is indicated in an indirect manner. And the characteristics of prema is three. Adeyatvam, Adeyatvam, and three things are mentioned. Yeah, characteristics of prema are mentioned as three things. Adeyatvam and Virala Pracharatvam and Mahatvam. Adeyatvam, it is not to be given. It is not to be given away easily because it is very rare. And with Virala Pracharatvam, it is scarcely known. It is Virala Pracharatvam. Third is Mahatvam, it is of the utmost importance. So therefore, prema is mentioned in an indirect way, in a paroksha manner in this. So, and then Yoga Goswami is also confirming how the prema is the rahasya by quoting the Bhagavad Gita, Uddhava Gita, and also after hearing the Chatushloki Bhagavatam, and the Lord told Narada, you expand upon the knowledge which I have spoken in such a way that people will develop love for Krishna. People will develop devotion for Krishna. So these are also confirmation that prema bhakti is the confidential truth. It is the rahasya. This way, three shlokas we have covered. The last Chatushloki Bhagavatam, we will take it in the next class. If anybody has any questions, we can. I suggest you can go through again, at least 2 times we go through, read it, then you become more solidified. Next week we'll complete this anuccheda as possible. We'll do the next anuccheda also. Yes, time permits. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Ah.
Prabhuji, this Chatushloki, of course, no technical question I'm asking. I'm asking, Chatushloki was earlier spoken to Brahma because that age Brahma was so intelligent he could decode the 4 shlokas into multiple shlokas. Then before that also the Ananta is speaking Bhagavatam unlimitedly from time immemorial. So why that Chatushloki? Because already Ananta was speaking sufficiently about Bhagavatam. Why this requirement is there?
No. When the Lord spoke to Brahma, different times the Lord speaks to different people. Ananta has been glorifying the Lord. Ananta spoke to the 4 Kumaras. The Lord is speaking to Lord Brahma. Brahma was not present when Ananta spoke the Bhagavatam to the 4 Kumaras. So this time, Lord is speaking to the Brahma. Bhagavatam can be compressed just like a cotton sack. It can be compressed into a small portion, and it can also be fluffed. When it is fluffed out, it can spread the entire room also. So Bhagavatam is condensed in Catuh sloki also. It can also be expanded into 17,000 shlokas or even many lakhs of shlokas also.
So Kumar Krishna Prabhu took one of our classes. He said that same cotton can be put in the ear and block your ear not to hear Bhagavatam also. That was a joking also.
Okay. So we'll stop here. ग्रंथरा श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, गौर भक्त वृंद की जय।